everyone, welcome back to Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with a match preview for Newcastle United's final home game of what's been an awful season in the Premier League. This is the 19th home game, and we've only won 9. So hopefully Newcastle will win this game as well and finish on a high. But yes, it's against West Ham United at St James's Park on a really weird time, rotten, rubbish time of 5:30 on a Sunday, which is really odd for a fixture time. But that's what happens when there's too much football and the FA Cup finals on and everything else as well. But 5:30 Sunday, St James's Park against West Ham United, who are fighting to stay in the Premier League. And if Newcastle United win this game, that could be all she wrote for West Ham in the Premier League. We're going to get stuck right into this game, talk about the lineup, talk about how we think Eddie Howe will line the team up, talk about the opposition, the danger players for them, and talk about how we think the game is going to go. Before we do, a little reminder, if you haven't already, smash subscribe below. Help get us to the next milestone, which will be 14,000. Even though it's been a crap season for Newcastle, we've had a really good season in terms of ever more subscriptions. So thank you so much. It's all free to click that button. It just takes you half a second. But if you want to be a member and give a bit back to the channel, there is a bit below as well. The Discord group's been amazing this year because I've definitely pulled away from social media. I think it's horrible. I think it's dreadful for your mental health. I think the Newcastle United online fan base is like the Wild West on social media, particular platforms, which I won't name, you know what they are. So I'm really glad to have our Discord group with good members who have different opinions, and we can always have a different opinion and keep it nice and civil about the football club. So yeah, that's a good thing to be part of if you want to do that. It's only $1.99 a month as well. So let's get stuck into this game then. Yeah, I mean, it reads exactly like it sounds. You're talking about the team that's currently sitting 18th in the Premier League versus the team that's sitting 13th in the Premier League. 10 points separated them in the season. That's been pretty underwhelming for both teams, probably worse for West Ham as well. West Ham will obviously be hoping to win. They're on 36 points right now, and Spurs are on 38. Spurs go away to Stamford Bridge to a bit of a lackluster Chelsea at the moment, actually, hoping to get a result. And if West Ham get beat, then obviously, you know, Spurs are going to have to hope to get another result as well. But I think it could pretty much doom West Ham if they lose that game, because there's only one game left to go. And if Spurs get anything, even a point, I don't think that West Ham can even catch them mathematically. So it is a bit of a grim one for the West Ham fans. I like West Ham as well as a club. I like the supporters. I think they're real hard working class type fans. You're very similar to the was in many ways. You know, they've been up, they've been down, they've won a trophy over the last few years. You know, and the club maybe hasn't hit the heights that they hoped that they should have hit. But yeah, I'm hoping Newcastle win at the weekend. I've seen some weird stuff going around about how Newcastle are safe, they've got nothing to play for. Why not lose the game and send Spurs down? I kind of get the sentiment because everyone's a bit sick of Spurs. But for me, I just want Newcastle to win every single game they possibly can. And they've got to go out on a high, because a lot of that fan base in the crowd, you know, and I don't often like that sense of superiority that, oh, we go to the game, so our opinion matters more than you. I've got nothing but respect for the home supporters and the away supporters who go and travel length and breadth of the country and support this team. I've been to St James myself a few times this season, not as much as I'd like to, but these home supporters have been served up absolute dross this season from this football club. So they deserve to be sent home for the summer on a high, to say there's something to come back for, there's a hope to come back for, and that's what these players deserve to do for these loyal fans who sang the manager's name in the Brighton game. A lot of people blamed the fans for maybe making PIF's mind up in terms of keeping Eddie Howe. Listen, I don't think PIF were ever going to get rid of Eddie Howe. I don't think they've got the stomach for it. I think they were happy to keep him on board because of what he's done in the past. And all the pressure will now be on Eddie Howe going into the summer and next season to try and turn this around. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about this game. So that's how I think Eddie Howe is going to line up. Here's the lineup for you. Yes, I know you're probably screaming, Chris, what you doing? Why is Lewis Hall at right back? Because I think he'll put Lewis Hall at right back. I think he'll play Lewis Hall at right back, Dan Burn left back. I think he'll play Malik Chow, Sen Botman at the back. I think Nick Pope will continue in goal. There's injury doubts to Joe Linton, so I think Jacob Rams could come in that midfield with Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali. Could it be Tonali's last game at St James's? Maybe. We don't know. I think Lewis Hall probably will be here next season. Touch wood. By the sound of it, the club are very, very keen to keep Lewis Hall. He's on all the new shirt photos. So I'd like to think that there's no issues there. And if Tyndall is the problem, off he goes, in my opinion. But that's another podcast for another day. But yeah, I think Jacob Ramsey come on at the weekend. He made a difference. A brilliant pass for Harvey Barnes' goal against Nottingham Forest. And I think Ramsey deserves a start. Even if Joe Linton declares himself fit, I would play Jacob Ramsey in that midfield three. I'd like to see what he can do on the final home game of this rotten season. And up front, the three, Harvey Barnes definitely needs to start this game for me. Harvey Barnes is a goal threat. Harvey Barnes has got 2 goals in 2 games now. Start the lad. Anthony Gordon has no place anymore on this team. It's clear that he's going to leave. All the links of him leaving. He's got more links than a chain these days. Bayern Munich here, Premier League clubs there. The kid's not going to be at the football club next season. There's no point in having him on the bench, Eddie. Don't bother. Just give a spot to a Sean Neve or a Park Song-soo or something like that. Give them a spot on the bench and they can come on, have 10, 15 minutes, hopefully when we're 3-0 up or 2-0 up, and show that maybe they're worth a look at for pre-season and for next season. But there's no point in having Anthony Gordon on that bench for me. And even if you bring him on, what's going to happen? Are the crowd really going to cheer? Oh, Anthony Gordon. Are they really going to do that? I don't think they will, unless he scores 2 goals and we're back to West Ham 4-0. But I can't see that happening. So I don't see the point in playing that at all. Kieran Trippier, I do think will get off the bench at some point for a farewell and a swan song. And I think Trippier deserves that. I think the impact that he's had as a signing, everything that he's done since he's been at the football club, on the pitch and off the pitch, in terms of a leader. Don't start with a personal shit. I don't mean that. With a leader, you know, in the way he's represented himself in the football club since he's been here. I think Trippier deserves that send-off. Fabian Schär, unfortunately, is still out injured and he won't get a chance to have his final goodbye. It doesn't sound like he's going to be fit for the Fulham game either. A lot of debate about Fabian Schär, whether he should be given another contract or not. I see the reasons why, because are you going to get somebody as good as Fabian Schär who can do that job and take the pressure and the amount of game time off Malik Chow, who's looked fatigued towards the back end of the season? Are you going to get somebody else like that? Maybe you won't. You have to pay big money for it. So I understand it, but we'll have to wait and see what happens in the summer with that. You could spend money elsewhere and give Fabian Schär 1 more year potentially. But there are the injuries. Lewis Miley's obviously out injured as well. We know he's broken his fibula, so he won't be playing there. And obviously in the front three, I've got Willis Sula leading the line again. And I don't think Nick Votamada will get a start. You know, even though I thought he was all right against Forest at times, he won't get a start in this game. Maybe Willis Sula through the middle, and he'll pick Jacob Murphy. I wouldn't pick Jacob Murphy myself. I'd rather have Willis Sula on the right and Nick Votamada through the middle. But Eddie Howe won't do that, I don't think. I think he'll go with Willis Sula in the middle and trusted Jacob Murphy on the right-hand side, who's great for the club videos and putting cones on his head and waving at people and all that stuff. But on the football pitch this season, leaves a lot to be desired. But I think that's the lineup that Eddie Howe will go for in this game. And to be honest with you, we've got a good record against West Ham over the years. And I think, you know, despite West Ham knowing they've got to fight for their lives, I'm confident that we'll get a result in this game. I mean, it just depends on whether the lads have got the appetite for it. For me personally, I'd like to see the players really put in a performance and show those fans, especially the players who are going to be here next season and want to be here next season, show those supporters that you want to make up for this crap season, that you want them to go away in the summer, watch the World Cup, come back and say, hey, do you know what? We saw something in that last game. These lads can come back, no Champions League football, no European football, and then come back, focus on the Premier League, and maybe get us back up to where we want to be in the top 6 in the Champions League positions next season. I hope the players take that opportunity, but you just don't know with these players this season that when you expect them to deliver, they let you down. When you think they're not going to do anything, they stand up and get a performance like when they beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, or when they even just narrowly lost to Arsenal and City as well. You know, they do surprise you. But I think we'll have enough to beat West Ham. And I mean, West Ham themselves, obviously fighting for their lives, looking at their kind of injury news. Weirdly enough, the Premier League form, actually, when you look at it, even though West Ham looked like the relegation fodder, they've actually got better Premier League form than us in the last 6 games. So they've won 2 of the last 6. And we have only won 1 of the last 6. So that is not good in terms of our form in the Premier League. So maybe I shouldn't be sitting here all confident that we're going to beat West Ham comfortably. So, I mean, looking at the injury news for West Ham, you know, going through what they've got there, I'm not sure they have got many injury doubts, to be brutally honest with you, just looking there. Callum Wilson will obviously be here as well on the bench for West Ham. And what would it be like for Callum Wilson spoiling the party and scoring the winner, but keeping West Ham in the Premier League? You know, I wouldn't put it past Callum Wilson. He's that type of player. He does love to score goals in the big moments when he's needed. So you just never know. I mean, West Ham were really unlucky last week. A VAR robbery cost them a point against Arsenal at the London Stadium, and they should really be coming to this game in a much stronger position than they were. But that's football, and certainly Premier League football with the crap officiating that we've got in this division, which is just absolutely dreadful. But in terms of how West Ham will probably line up, it's probably how they lined up in the last game in many ways. So they've got Hermansen in goal. They've got Tadibo. Remember him when he was linked with Newcastle? We all wanted him as a ball-playing centre-half. Not particularly done well, West Ham, in all fairness. And they've got Morapavos at the back. Dezazi, who they got on loan from Chelsea, who I quite like. He's big and he's strong. He whips in a couple of good crosses, can play right back or centre back or left back. He's quite diverse as a defender. Then they have in front of them, they have a bank of four. So they've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Juve as wing backs, Fernandez and Souček as kind of deeper line midfielders. Then they've got the main man, the danger man for me, Jared Bowen. I talked about him the other day. Excellent player. More on him in a second. Somerville, who I think is a real bright spark and a real danger as well. If he pulls out and starts running, at maybe Dan Burn, potentially on that side, he might switch wings with Jared Bowen. That could really cause us some trouble because he's quick and he's dangerous. And they've got big Castaños up front, who's a big handful lump of a lad. But that's the kind of game that Malachau and Burn really enjoy. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But that is the West Ham side that I think they'll play. Callum Wilson may get the chance, but I think with his fitness levels, I think he's more likely to be an impact sub to come off the bench if it's 1-1 or something like that. So for me, the big danger man for West Ham is Jared Bowen. He's done it against us before. He's excellent on the ball. He pops up in all sorts of positions. He pops up in that number 10 role, pops up almost like a striker as well, pulls out on that right-hand side, can deliver some great crosses, can get in the box himself and finish. And he will be, no doubt, wanting to perform against Newcastle. If the links are true, that we are one of the three teams that are linked to Jared Bowen in the summer, I think he'd be an excellent signing. As I said in the video the other day, you're talking about one of the most consistent performers in the Premier League. Even in this West Ham team, they're in the bottom three right now, he still has 8 goals and 10 assists this season, which is incredible, really, when you compare that against our wingers, the likes of Alanga and Murphy, who've barely got an assist between them. So that, to me, just shows you Jared Bowen's quality, and I think it would be an unbelievable signing for Newcastle. Yes, 60 million may be steep. Maybe if you can get it down to closer 50, I think you get a couple of good seasons out of him, like we did with Trippier when he came from Atletico Madrid. But he's the danger man for me. He's the guy you want to watch out. I like Fernandez, too. He's had a lot of real positive praise this season. A very energetic midfielder, can put in a good tackle, can drive up the pitch as well. A very, very talented player. And Somerville does have his dangerous spells as well when he's got that pace and his ability to cut inside as well and really make his fullback sweat and work hard for the day's work. So, West Ham, they're not a great side in terms of the position in the Premier League. Quality in their team, take Bowen out of that team, there's not a lot of quality in there in terms of consistency, but they have got something to fight for. They have got their Premier League safety to fight for, and we've seen it before in seasons gone by. When teams have got that to fight for, they find an extra 10% here and there. And Newcastle are going to have to be up for this game if we want to get a positive result and send our fans home happy for the summer to come back next season and hope that there's going to be a better version of Newcastle than it has been this season. Eddie Howe looks like he will be the man to lead that charge in the summer, to lead that charge next season. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, I personally don't think it's the right move. I think it's grown far too stale at the football club, and I think a freshness was needed, and getting rid of the manager and bringing a new manager in with a new set of players would have gave you that freshness. But the PIF haven't got the stomach for it. They don't fancy it. Eddie Howe is going to be the man next season, so we've just got to get on board with that, whether we like it or not, and support the team, support the manager, see what happens in the summer, and then come back next season and hope that we're stronger. But for me, I'd like to see Newcastle end the season with a little bit of style, a little bit of pride. The performance against Brighton in spells was good, very fortuitous, and other spells very lucky that Yankuba Minter had his slippers on and that Brighton didn't take their chances. Again, with Forest, we let them back in that game to beat us in that game. And that's not, was it a draw? Sorry, my God, what am I talking about? Was it a draw in the Forest game? It was a draw, wasn't it? What am I talking about? I'm losing my marbles. That's how shit this season has been, that I've lost my marbles and forgot what the Forest score was. It was 1 each. It was 1 each. What am I talking about? Elliot Anderson. Thought he got the winner for a minute. That's how grim I felt by it. Sorry, apologies. Retract. There was a draw against Forest. So we let them back in, though. We let them back in. They could have won the game. They had chances to win the game. So even if Newcastle go ahead in this game and get a comfortable lead, even if it's a 2-0 lead in this game, then they've got to make sure they keep their shit together and manage the game better. But Newcastle need 2 goals to win a game. They showed that against Brighton. They cannot go into a 1-0 lead and hold it. We don't have the right mentality for it. We don't have the right structure for it. We don't have the right discipline for it. We don't have the energy for it, the stamina for it. Anytime we try and set in a 1-0 lead, we are fucked. So Newcastle United, for me, got to get 2 goals in this game to win this game. But it's going to be a really, really tough game. I think West Ham are going to have to throw the kitchen sink at it to try and stay in this division. Nuno will be telling them players exactly what they need to do. You know, the likes of Bowen, he'll try and carry them on his back and get them over the line, get them a result. Because if West Ham do manage to get a win at St. James's Park, that puts them on 39 points. And then if Spurs get nothing against Chelsea, and then they've obviously got one last game at the end of the season to try and get something out of it, which is Everton at home. So, yeah, West Ham can really put themselves in a good position here if they get a result against Newcastle United St. James's Park. And all those travelling hammers will be wanting that. That's exactly what they'll be thinking. West Ham Leeds, last game of the season. My God, that could really put the cat amongst the pigeon. Leeds are safe, no doubt about it. But, you know, that could go down at the end of the season between Spurs and West Ham for a relegation shootout, which you'd never thought you'd say a few years ago, because West Ham were winning, you know, Europa conferences and Spurs were, you know, Champions League teams. And look at them now. That's as easy as it is for a team to fall. Newcastle should do well to look at that and try not to replicate that going forward. But I think we'll have enough to win this game. I think the lads will want to put in a performance for the fans. I think a lot of players will want to show the manager that they're worth keeping in the summer and they're worth keeping next season. There might be some players who want to put in a good performance to send off and say, that's me done, guys, but I'm going to leave you on a little bit of a high. So I think we've got enough in that squad to get a result. So I'm going to go for Newcastle United 2, West Ham 1 in this game. So I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. I think like I said, Bowen will pop up, or even Wilson will pop up with a goal. I think we will concede, but I think we win the game 2-1. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the fixture. Do you want Newcastle to lose or Spurs go down? Are you one of those fans? If you are, cool. You know, that's entirely up to you. Not for me. I want Newcastle to win the game. Do you think we will win the game? And do you think West Ham may rock up to St. James's with more fight, more desire, more belief, more hunger, and do exactly what the likes of Brentford and Everton did at Newcastle and rough us up and throw us off our game and take it to us? Or do you think Newcastle are going to get the result like I do? So always like to hear from you. Drop a comment in below. Remember to like, subscribe, hype the video, keep it evermore. I'll be back behind the mic for the post-match on Sunday night. What a rotten time it is on a Sunday night. People are chilling, trying to watch the TV and having a takeaway or something like that on a Sunday night, aren't they? Rubbish time. But tune in and watch us, guys, if you can, because it'd be great. Help the channel grow. But thanks for watching. Have a belter. We'll see you after West Ham. Hopefully Newcastle end the season in style, because it's been crap by and large. We want a nice send-off, lads. Get it done. See you later, lads. Take it easy.
Heroes celebrate. They have done it.